Off the bench with RASI Sports.
Hello and welcome back to episode 21 of the Off the Bench podcast. My name is Ronald Brown. Also here with my co-host, Coach Ron Brown. How are you doing today?
Hey, right. How you doing? How you doing?
All right. So today we're bringing back a familiar voice, Coach Jesse Niemes. How are you doing?
How you doing? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How you
Yep,
doing?
I can hear you.
Okay, good.
And also here with us, another special guest, also Coach Rob Nieves with BAM Sports Agency. How you doing also?
Appreciate
All
you
right.
guys having me.
Yes, sir. How you doing? How you doing,
All
man?
right,
How's
definitely.
Good,
everything?
man. I was waiting for the invite, Ron. I was waiting for it.
Oh yeah, you here, brother? You here? Oh yeah, we was waiting for this special one. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Save
Oh
the best
yeah,
for
right
last. I get it.
up. Oh man, there you go. There you go.
All right,
All
so today
right.
we're going to be speaking for a real unfiltered conversation about one of the biggest topics in college basketball right now, the transfer portal. This isn't just surface level talk. We're going to be diving into how the portal is impacting the game from college programs all the way down to high school players trying to find their path. There are opportunities, no doubt, but there are not enough. There are a lot of tough realities. Some players are entering the portal without fully understanding the risks and the truth that not everyone's finding a new home. Okay. We're going to start it off here. So the reality of the transfer portal. Let's start here. What are you seeing right now with the transfer portal, and how is it affecting the overall game? How do you guys feel like it's affecting everybody?
Let's start with you, Coach Nimmo. I mean, you have a son that play ball right now. I know he's not in the portal, but from your perspective, how do you see that?
Well, the biggest thing that I see now is coaches are no longer allowed to teach. The transfer portal has created a panic mode amongst most people if they're not really, really stable. So they're only trying to get finished players. So that makes it tough for the underclassmen who are trying to learn the game because they no longer are teaching the game. You get the 5 in, it's almost like the AAU where you pick up 5 and just meet at the gym and play.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, in my day, a freshman would come in, go kind of the Isaiah route where the freshman come in, learn, get better every year. Coaches teach him. He gets better. And then he's really ready to go junior year. He knows it. He's ready to go. It's second nature. That portal has taken a lot of that away, so it's a lot of scrambling out there. And like Ronald made a good point. People are getting in the portal not understanding what they're getting into. They just jump in thinking it's going to be a bigger day or better where they are than where they are, where the truth of the matter is you are taking a big risk, especially if you are at a place where you're comfortable, a place where the coach trusts you, a place where you have a degree of freedom. You go to another system, you got to develop that trust all over again. And, it can backfire. But, some people don't care as long as the check's cash.
Wow, that's a different story, but it's the facts. I mean, how do you see it from your perspective, Bam? I mean,
Yeah.
you being on the agent side, you know what I mean? How do you
Yeah.
see the
I
portal?
mean, on the agent side, there's good agents and there's bad agents, right? Let's put that out there, right?
Right.
For me, I got into the agency because being a former athlete, I appreciated the development aspect, the journey, right? That development only occurs if a player really stays, right? Because that is a partnership and a relationship that you build with a coach over time, right?
Right.
And there's a trust factor in that, right? If I put all my energy in what you're teaching me, you're going to allow me to reach the ultimate goal, which is for many, the NBA or playing overseas, right? I think the message that is being skewed right now is that there's a lot of blame happening on the athlete side, right? What people are not talking about is that there can easily be the same amount of blame on the coach's side as well, right? Because you do not know the conversations that are happening on the back end where a coach can say to a player, thank you for your services, but I think we're going to go a different direction, right?
Wow.
Just like the corporate world, right?
Right.
But the only thing that's being announced is so-and-so player hitting the portal, right? And right now you're getting 2,000 plus kids. And I think there's misguidance there, right? And why you and I connected for so many years is that we were aligned on the goal that we're here to chase the long-term money, not the
Right.
short term, right? And I think it'll be good on this call to talk about your experience, right? Of actually being a parent in the portal and how did you feel about that, right? So
Right.
I think, many of us on that call know how you felt about that process.
Right.
Now, I think, like I said, there's shared blame. I think the high schoolers are at a disadvantage because, these universities are now in win now mode, right?
Yeah.
It's not, hey, I'm going to develop this player because realistically, that player is going to, it's a 70-30 that player may not be there next year,
Right.
right? So, but what you do see in some top programs, they do a really good job sustaining sustainability, retention, um, and building around those pieces, right? But I love college basketball. It has the top, if you look at the viewership, it's at an all-time high, right? The revenue that is driving an all-time high because, there's no such thing as the dominant players because that can now change every year. You're actually seeing players leaving top programs like UNC, Duke, Kentucky, right? To essentially chase the bag, right? But you don't know, and it's not talked about enough what the coaches are saying on the back end of that, right?
Right.
And then the influence of the child matters a lot. I think people forget that these are kids. They're 18, 19. It's my job, especially with your boys. I want them to be educated on how the financials work, right? On how the business side works. But I also want them to be kids as long as possible, right? It's a very short window
Right.
that they can enjoy and love the game. And more times than none, that is taken at a very young age, right?
Right.
And you and I have had, talks about this. A lot of the influence too are our parents, right? We don't know the circumstances that they're coming from as well. So, more times than none, when you're presenting a kid $1 million, that's the most money they'll probably ever see in their lifetime, right?
Right.
It's like
Exactly.
it's like hitting lotto 4 years straight. Think about it, right?
That is true.
So,
Some of these
for
kids are
me,
getting paid more than what the G League is getting paid. So why go professional?
correct. So that's where strategy happens, right?
Right.
That's where strategy happens. And also you have to know, like they're projecting next year's draft to be a weak year, right? In draft circumstances, even 2028 it might be a weak year as well. So you got to follow the money, right? If you look at the NBA, they're pushing out draft capital and pushing out further and further because that's how GMs are looking at the next couple of years, right? So
Right.
where do you fall along that? So it's understanding the whole landscape, not just, oh, hey, this coach is giving me a million five, right? Well, I just had a call today with an athlete, right? And coming from a high major, and he's getting recruited by other high majors. But my question to him was, if you go to another high major and you average the same amount, your draft, your stock, to other coaches is actually going to go down, right?
Right.
Because you need to go to a program where this particular program they had them just shooting threes in the corner, right? But you need to go to a program that fits your game. So even if it's a mid-major at the Atlantic 10 or something that's going to showcase your skill, guess what? The bag is going to be there the next year when now you're averaging 25 points, 15 or you're averaging 25 minutes, 15 points, 4 rebounds, and so forth, right? So, we can't be so stuck on high majors and mid majors because there's enough mid majors that can compete with the high majors, right?
Right.
It's just they don't have the capital or sometimes the resources. But in that situation, a player got to look at how can I advance my game? How can I get recognized, right? Being recognized, you don't have to be in a high major. Your son was recognized at a mid-major,
Right. He was. He
right?
really was.
Because he produced consistently, day in, day out. His numbers got better, better, better. That is what creates, that's what gets you to that ultimate goal.
Right. Okay.
Mm.
Okay. So so I know my situation, right? As far as like with the portal and everything, and what you're saying is absolutely correct. Like you have to weigh out all the variables that's out there. So yeah, we're gonna talk about my kid for a minute, right? So anyone that knows me and that watches this, they know who I am. They know that I'm not big on like moving from team to team to team. I mean, you know me for over 20 years almost. It felt like it anyway, but I'm not in for like jumping from team to team. So like, yeah, I had to move him, and it wasn't. And a lot of people think that I'm chasing the bag, but I was, and as you know, I was nervous about that portal, man. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I mean, we went in there, and I mean, with no type of certainty. You know what I mean? And you really had to trust. You had to trust people's word. You know what I mean? In a sense. And I'll be honest with you, that was as a father of an athlete that actually was doing well where he was at, outside of some of the the injuries that might have occurred at the time. But that was nerve wracking because he didn't know. Because I looked at it this way: if he didn't get picked up by another school, that's a possibility he loses educational scholarship too. And that's what parents don't understand. Like, we're not just playing basketball here. You're talking about the education. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of things that was going through my head as a parent that made it very, very nerve wracking. But his reputation preceded itself, and we landed at a good spot. But that's just my son, and like you said, there's how many kids today? Like over 2,000 kids. We're talking about high major kids in a portal right now. You know what I mean?
No enter.
Yeah. So if you got 2,000 kids in a portal, and we're talking about high major kids, like we're talking about kids that started and got 30 plus minutes somewhere else, going to another team. So now let's take it back a little bit for this high school kid. Even the 5 stars. What schools out there going to be looking at them if I can go get a guy who's proven himself to give me 15, 16 points in the SEC already?
Right.
Why am I looking at high?
Well, strategically, it's like, if I could give advice to any high schooler, during this landscape, it would not be to do an early commit, right? Because what benefits do you get out of it being an early commit? Because you don't know who they bringing in come April, right?
Right.
So unless they're promising you and obviously offering you the bag out of high school, generally speaking, that only happens to top 15, top 20 kids, right? And then you get into a whole different animal, rankings, which is political. It's politics, right? So it's the landscape of the portal is interesting, but the beauty of it, or the silver lining of it, is that you're seeing kids that have been overlooked since high school now get another opportunity to play at the big stage, right? During my time when I played back in 2010, you go to the school, you're stuck, right? But now if a kid is under recruited, he now can go D2 or JUCO, right? Ball out and then get an opportunity to then, so there's layers to it, right? So now what you're seeing, the trend is D2 is now going to mid-major, and then mid-major are going to, high major schools. So that's the trend that's starting to happen. So the beauty of that cycle is that now these kids that are D2 are now getting that D1 opportunity.
Well, what do you think, Nimmo? Because you have a son that's playing JUCO ball right now. So how do you feel as if the portal is affecting him, or like what's your thought?
The portal definitely affects the JUCO is basically the new high school. Let's just get that out there. So the biggest problem, my son, because he's a good shooter, you put him in the corner, and the game has changed. You have to show versatility, and if you're in a system where someone is a little bit, behind, where they just put people in fixed positions, it's damaging. Like when you were talking about going to a school, you need to go to a school, as Robert said, that you are able to show your skill set. If you go to a school and say, okay, we're going to put you in the corner, and you'll just sit in the corner, and you'll get 3 or 4 shots a game, and we want you to shoot 75% from 3, you know what I mean? Or they take you out. It's tough. So the layout, when you're picking these schools, the system has to matter. You have to really do your research. Like one of my players, he went to a school, and this guy was probably one of the best shooters in Orlando history, but he went to a school that shoots the least amount of threes in the whole country. So obviously he made a mistake. You know what I mean? If you're a great shooter and a high percent three-point shooter, and you go to a school that takes the least amount of threes in the country, it's not going to work out well for you. You know what I mean? So it really matters. And like you were saying about the portal creates a lot of these coaches, they don't get the 4 years that they used to get. Coaches used to get to graduate their class, and the coaches could build a program. Coaches can't really build a program now. They have to just try to win right now. You have the ADs at some of the colleges that's not realistic. They're not giving the coaches the resources, but they expect the coaches to have the results. So it creates kind of a panic mode. We're all scrambling to get those guys out the portal to help you win your 20 games, because 20 games is the bar. And it's just all over the place right now. So you just have to be patient and go with it. But I would tell the high school kids right now who poo-poo the junior college, who poo-poo the Division twos, is you got to look at those, because like Robert said, if you can fit there, you can show, and then you can be re-recruited.
Right. So do me a favor here, though, Rob. I mean, you probably have the most experience with the portal situation here. Explain this to us how the portal really works. Like, I'm over here looking now at, the time frame. I think for this year they pushed it down to only 15-day windows, and then they're talking about the ghost transfer rules and stuff like that. Like, explain to us exactly. I mean, if your knowledge of it.
No, they shrunk the portal down because it was causing havoc. So how do you cause less havoc, right? Create urgency on in the top half of it, and then their idea is we can shorten that window. Then because you just have to put your name in, doesn't mean you have to sign by that time, right? Okay. And that's another lever of agency talk that. You don't have to rush to sign right away, because, if you wait, you might fall into a better situation, because what's happening is you might have high majors chasing those top 10 guys, and they completely strike out. Right. So now they got to recalibrate. You know what I mean? Now, shrinking that window really was a sense of bringing the power back to the teams, right? Because the longer that window, it's more advantageous for the player, right? They can take their time on deciding. Now, players right now have a week to decide if they're going to enter or not, right? So it creates, as you mentioned, that anxiety, that urgency, that fear, right? So that's that portion of it. Now, realistically, you're not supposed to talk to any coaches, right?
Right.
Can't, but you can get a sense of what is needed in programs, right? And even without me with your son, I had enough belief in your son based on his resume, right? And in that situation, right, there was a trust. I think that was the trust that was built there, and you were a perfect example of not chasing the bag. It was finding the situation that was going to best benefit his skill set, his development. And you can probably attest to this, actually him not chasing the bag to the extent, he's a completely different player now, right? But not even, what amazes me about, and I'll say his name, what amazes me about AJ, he didn't even play this year, yet he won the fans, he won the coaches, and his confidence is at an all-time high, which is very rare during a, red shirt, right? A medical redshirt year. And he had the resources. I think you can attest to this. The only reason he really moved was because of resources.
Facts. Exactly. It really was.
Yeah. It wasn't money. It wasn't money.
I mean, we got a lot of slack, and a lot of people think it was because of the bag, but it really wasn't.
Right.
I mean, God's my witness. Yo, the boy loved it in Ohio.
Right.
And I'm gonna tell you, listen, we go out there and visit. I'm like, yo, there's nothing to do in Ohio. Like, what do you mean in Ohio?
Well, Rob, be careful. We don't want you getting hate mail now. Be careful now.
Oh yeah, my bad.
You didn't get a few letters.
Well, one thing I can say about that situation, the coach is doing a great job. He's stable, which means he can actually create a culture, which means AJ being a redshirt is actually getting work. A lot of times, like when my son went to play in the pros, it was a great opportunity, but unfortunately, the pros were trying to win, so he really didn't get work. He was in the gym, he was practicing, he got experience of playing with grown people, he understands what the pro thing is like, but as far as getting actual work, he didn't get the actual work. So you can go in the gym and shoot shots, but if nobody's in with you, you're probably shooting the shots incorrectly. You're probably not shooting at game speed. So AJ being at Florida, doing his redshirt year, it sounds to me like somebody's actually working with him. He's got the top trainers. He's getting his body right. He's getting everything right. And the coach, because he won early, the coach is stable, and he can create a culture and actually build players, which is going to make that program even stronger. He can go to the portal, and he has players coming up from within. That makes them stronger every single, that's a great situation. It's better than every year getting a whole bunch of new players and trying to get them to work.
Every year getting a new coach.
Right.
That's a real thing.
That's
right?
a real thing because, like I said before, the coaches are put under pressure that's not realistic. You got a mid-major coach, and the AD is like, well, we need to go to the Final Four, but you have no NIL deal, you have no, you know what I mean? And then so it's like the stability at Florida with the coach being a winner. The coach seems like he's in a good space. Like you just watch Walter Davis, not Walter Davis, it was Hubert Davis. You just watched him get fired. How long was he there? 3 years? How long was he there?
Not that long. Yeah, 2.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And the whole time he was
he's
there,
legacy, right? He's legacy. So
the whole time he was there, they were trying to better deal him.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, you get a good, stable coach who has a system who can say, okay, this kid has potential. He's not ready yet. We're going to develop him or whatever. And then that kid comes in ready. But now one player is already ready. So it was interesting.
Well, I think what helps that organization too, and not just to focus on one organization, right? Because there's thousands of others. Right. What adds to that stability is, he has the foundation in place and the winning culture, right? And really, believe it or not, a lot of his guys that are producing or produced last season been with them since freshman year, right?
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that.
Right.
A lot of people don't know that.
People don't know yet. A lot of grown.
Right. Other than, the championship year that, he went into the portal to get the missing pieces, right? But the core foundation of the team, they've been there and they've developed. That's the key word, right?
Yeah, but the only missing piece he got that year was Elijah.
Yeah, he got
everybody else been there.
Right. They had Walter for 2 years, right?
Yeah, Walter transferred the year before.
Yep.
Will the year before, yeah. So
they stay, and it's I think he's done a fantastic, obviously it helps that he's young and he understands the new landscape, right? There is adjustment, like it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks, right? But the game is different. It is different, and it's changed even in AAU. AAU is the business, right? But that hopping has actually started in AAU, right? You don't even now you see players hopping from AAU program to another. So that culture actually starts way prior to college, and that aspect is not talked about enough.
Right. Yeah. But when you were saying about the stability, that's why at one time the mid majors was creeping up on the high majors, because the mid majors had the seniors had been there in the system 4 or 5 years. They knew exactly what they were doing at crunch time. They didn't make the mistakes. Like when you go with Coach Cal, people, they like to talk about him, but Coach Cal, they forget he was dealing with 19-year-olds and 18-year-olds playing against 25-year-olds. So for him to go to the grade 8 and the final, the Final Fours, even if he lost, it was really a remarkable accomplishment to do that.
Well, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this, Coach, because I agree with you in the simple fact that they were 18, 19-year-olds. But let's not forget, those were the best 18, 19-year-olds in the country.
All 5 stars.
All 5.
Yeah,
all 5 of them.
But they will lose.
If you give me and you go on that sideline and give me all 5 stars, we can get to the Elite 8. But he never won that national championship.
Well, that's because when it comes to winning, the seniors know what to do.
You know
what I mean? So when he was losing to the mid-major people who had super seniors who knew exactly how to close. You know what I mean? Like Houston, the year Florida won the championship 2 years ago, Houston had every opportunity to close that deal. Florida executed down the stretch. Houston didn't, Houston had 4 chances to win that game and turned the ball over 4 straight times, So, a lot of times that you can have the great players, but if they can't, execute when the time counts, it really doesn't matter. And that's what Coach Cal ran into a lot. The great players get you to a certain point, but down the stretch, you have to execute.
But for me, I'm sorry, go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
A good example of that now is Duke. They got all the 5 stars, and this 2 years in a row, they're falling out early.
Yeah, they getting beat in the Final Four and all that, but that's just it.
Well, the Final Four is not failure either.
It's not.
It's hard. It's very hard to make it to the Final Four.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Facts. That is true. It's very hard to get
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
But
you
what
looking
I'm
at
saying is,
you looking
go
at
ahead.
Duke's situation, and it's like, why didn't somebody tell their kid you don't have to pass the ball, just hold it, And
Yes.
he went in the game, and
Listen, I feel
two
bad for
players,
that kid, man.
But
and the
both
two
of
players were wide open. I get it, but you literally, like part of the practice I used to run was in-game situations, and you got 9 seconds left on the clock or whatever the case may be. You don't have to advance it. Just make them foul you, shoot free throws, whatever. You know what I mean? But it is what it
But
is.
That's the difference between a senior and a freshman,
freshman.
right?
Exactly.
As a freshman.
Exactly.
And,
Exactly.
and I think also where we're kind of missing here too is that, we pointed out it's men amongst boys, right? And
Right.
college basketball has been predominantly men because of the COVID rules. Well, now COVID is now officially, off
Right.
to the sunset. So now you should start seeing it to balance out a little bit younger, but not to the extreme, right? We shouldn't be getting these 27-year-olds anymore, right? That got the additional COVID year. So I do think we'll organically pull back on the age group, but as they said, this is professional basketball now, right?
It is. It really is.
It's professional basketball, and the coaches that are winning are the coaches that are understanding that it's professional basketball, right?
Yeah.
You can call this the transfer portal. It's free agency.
Mm-hmm.
Free agency.
Oh, yeah.
And then again, it's going to take me back to my original question. My son, well, not my son per se, but I have a kid in high school. How am I supposed to get him into college now when he's supposed to get an education?
That right now is getting into JUCO. That's my opinion.
Yeah, JUCO.
I'm not
JUCO
picking on
basically-
JUCO now because there's some really good JUCO schools out there. But like, how do we as influencers and people who mentor kids and parents, what do I supposed to tell this parent to get them to school to just of course there's thousands of schools that would take this kid, but come on.
It's not to be afraid. It's not to be afraid of and really it's not to be afraid going mid-major. That these kids all we want this high majors, right? But it makes no point sitting on the bench and your market goes down, right? This is teaching them the business side. And what's the saying you always say, Ron, right? Go where you're needed and go where you're wanted, right?
Right.
And the wanted, everyone's going to want you when you're a top 100 player.
Right.
But the key is, where are you needed? And that's why I go back to my original statement. You got to see how the team is built come after the portal, right? Because if you're a guard and they just brought in 3 guards that are older than you, well, your mindset, it has to shift a little bit, right? Unless you are that top 10 kid coming out of your class and they will pay you that top 10 money because they expect you to produce right away.
Right.
But that comes with a lot of pressure for an 18-year-old.
If I was coaching the AAU team at this time, I would have to be brutally honest and tell them what the realistic factors is out there in terms of even mid-majors. Division One is not easy to get into, and for them, like you said, the low major, they got low majors, mid-majors. All of them are hard to get into because a lot of those portal guys end up at the mid-majors because they didn't get the high majors they thought they was going to get. And, you're going out there being recruited. You're 17-year-old senior. A lot of kids are graduating at 17. And you're going up against a 22-year-old freshman who might come from overseas. The overseas is another hurdle.
Yeah.
You got what was it? Was it Michigan? Was it what team was mostly overseas players? Was it Michigan? I think it was
Illinois. Illinois had 5. I think they
Illinois.
started 5.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They were all overseas, and all them guys was playing, professional basketball since they were 16. That's another thing you gotta climb that hurdle, So
right, the pool got bigger, right?
So if you're coaching,
the pool got bigger. The pool to pick from.
Yeah, the pool got a lot bigger.
A lot bigger, and they play basketball over there a little different, right?
Yeah.
Well, I was overseas a long time.
Right. That's right. You did play overseas. Go ahead, Coach. I forget you played overseas.
But overseas, I played overseas. Overseas it's more instruction. It's more about the techniques. It's more about. It's not just the most athletic guy is automatically going to play. Because over there, athleticism is not the primo. They want you to be able to execute. They want you to be able to your technique. I remember when I first got overseas, I was shooting free throws. They came in and they blindfolded me because they wanted me to practice on my technique more than making a shot. So I wasn't knowing if I was making a shot or not. They just wanted my form every single time to be the exact same way. So I concentrated on form more than anything. And my free throw percentage went up like 10 points because, that's some of the things that they do. Whereas here, the fastest guy, you put him on the top of the press and you just press.
Yeah.
You look at, let's take the Joker, for example, right? You have a guy that completely changed the dynamic of the five, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who's averaging a triple double. I think he just set the record for 10 assists a game.
Yeah. Assistant rebounds or there was something like average? Yeah, he did something crazy.
And to your point, he's not the most athletic. I think we all can see he's not the most athletic.
No.
But his footwork is tremendous, and his shot creation is unbelievable, right? And by him focusing on the other avenues of his game to get other members involved with the 10 assists, you have to respect everyone else, right?
You do.
Because, even myself, when I go to summer league every year, you'll see a lot of bad basketball, even in summer league, because everyone's trying to make a roster, right? But as I would explain to any Division I athlete or even high schooler, everyone there is athletic. But to make it to the next level, they have something that they're exceptional at, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And it's finding that exceptional tool or trait to get you on that roster, whether it's your vision, your shooting, your jump shot. It has to be exceptional, because if you're just solid at everything, you won't make it.
Well, that's just gotta be politics type thing, But like when you look at overseas, Wemby's doing the guard drills. Overseas, everybody does the same drill. They don't break it up. Post players here, wing players there. Everybody does the same thing. When I was over there, so everybody could handle a little bit. Everybody could see the floor, and that game is now basically came to the NBA. Because remember when Dirk first came in the league, everybody thought he was soft. He wouldn't go in the box and all that stuff. And Dirk, 7-footer, just raining threes, and everybody was Tony Kukoc for the Bulls. I mean,
Yeah.
they frowned upon that back then. They wanted to.
No, they did. I'm gonna be real with you, because what I was gonna say earlier is that I had Chris Brown on the show, and he said something very interesting. He said, listen, I had the blueprint already. He said exactly what you just said. He said, one, the NBA is a copycat league. He said, eventually, Euro basketball is going to be the NBA.
Yeah.
And that's why he trained his son the way he trained him. You know what I mean? And with the pick and roll and all that other stuff, because you got to remember, we wasn't really doing that, but now that's all the NBA is really doing. And then the react and then reading and stuff like that, you know what I mean? And, Euro League basketball is the new NBA right now.
Yeah. And the old NBA is college.
It's college, right?
Now you got
You're right.
3 lineups.
And that's why you're seeing the influx of Europeans coming over, right?
Right. Exactly.
And let's be honest, a lot of them can shoot the damn ball.
They can at a very high clip. Very high clip. I mean, but what are we supposed to do as parents though? Like, we seen this, and I mean, well, I already know what I would do because I'm doing it, right? With my youngest, Isaiah, again, I had tons of people coming to me, Rob, like, hey, you need to get into the transfer portal and jump ship because Isaiah's the top this and that. Okay, I agree with you. I think Isaiah could have played. But how am I going to tell coach or complain to coach and be like, hey, look, I think Zay should be getting more minutes, especially that's his freshman year when you got Elijah, Clayton, and what's his name, right? I'm not going to request for more minutes. Yeah, would I love to see him in there? And then I think, do I think he could have got some more minutes? Yeah, I think so. That's from, who I believe in my son. Yeah, I believe he could have. But he's going against those dudes in practice every day, which is useless.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? So not only is he making them better, they making him better, And when he had the opportunity to really play his game this past season, you know what I mean? When he wasn't really thinking about it, he was just out there playing, he had some really good games. You see what I'm saying? So for me, I think the portal is good for those kids that, like AJ's situation. You know what I mean? You really have to go in there. You know what I'm saying? Not just 1 year. You can't just go in for 1 year and then the second, because then to me that's sus. You going in there just for the bag. If you're going there for 2 years and it doesn't really work out for you, okay, then you gave it a college try. Then let's go test it and see where you can go elsewhere. But you're not giving a chance at all. I think the portal is good for some kids, but the way it is now, I think it's out of control. It's out of control.
But
It
like
really
you
is.
got,
There's
like
no way
Robert
there's
said, though.
2,000 kids in the portal. There's no way that should be happening right now.
Yeah, but Robert just said that probably of the 2,000 kids, 600 of them has basically been cut, and they had to go to the portal.
No, for sure.
You know?
That's true. A lot of
But
the coaches leaving,
but again, I kind of think what happens too is that some people are given the option to leave.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's keep it real. Some people are given the option to leave, not
Right.
really forced out, but knowing that another kid is coming. But see, this is how I was bred. You know what I mean? Coming from East New York, Brooklyn. This is how I was bred. You're gonna bring that dude to what? My spot? All right, cool. Bring him. He's gonna have to take that spot from me.
Yeah.
You understand? Now I played football most of my time more than basketball. So when I play free safety, you know what I mean? Like you had to take my spot. You're not taking my spot. You know what I mean? Because we're gonna go at it, bro. Like now, football is a little more contact than basketball. Well, I take that back because basketball is very, very physical, right? But you're gonna have to bring it. So if I'm there, right, and you're gonna bring in another guy from somewhere else in the portal or whatever to take my spot, cool. But I'm gonna embarrass you at practice. At practice, I'm gonna go at your head and embarrass you. You understand? Just to let the coaches know, like, listen, you guys made a mistake. I mean,
But
y'all
that's
slept
also-
on what I can do.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate with that, right? We can't be blind because sometimes it's pay to play, right? And what I mean by that, right, is a coach doesn't like to be looked bad if they overpay for a player and they had that player all along, right? So the reality is some will have a longer rope than others. That's just the reality, right?
For sure, but what's the beauty in it? Let me shut up because I might say something. Because dude, because this is my passion. Because
Right.
like real talk. Like, yeah, he might have a longer string than I have, right? And he might get the more play time. But so be it if I make that coach feel that way. You understand? Because my thing is you slept on me, right? And I proved to you at practice and I do what I do. You know what I'm saying? Now, mind you, this is probably my second year there because the first year I did whatever I did and then you brought somebody to come in over me, right? I'm going to bust his tail. And if my minutes don't gradually go and I'm making you look stupid as a coach for picking him, then I would say it might be time for me to go to the portal elsewhere because you're not respecting me as a player.
Right.
You're pertaining to like freshmen and sophomores then, because like at a junior level at this point, you only got 1 year left.
Right. But sometimes that 1 year is all you need, Ronald.
Yeah.
You understand?
And
sometimes that 1 year is all you need.
That's
and
true.
although the NBA likes young, let's be honest, the NBA loves young. The top picks are all freshmen, right? But now they ain't afraid to draft that 22-year-old anymore. Because the NBA has also changed their mindset because some of these teams need to win now, right? So now they're like, okay, this kid could be really good, all-star, but he's 4 years, 5 years away from it. Well, my clock started already as a head coach. Yeah. I need that piece right now. So maybe this 22-year-old can contribute right away and be an asset to the team. So that mindset is also starting to change.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, one of my good friends, his son, he played at Santa Barbara in the Big West, which is a low mid, and he did all 4 years, and he's playing for the Thunder, and he's from Sweden, and he went in the Thunder. He got drafted 20-something, not 20, late second round, and he just did the work in practice, and his minutes just increased, and now he's going to get a real contract up there, and he's doing well for the Thunder. And like you said, and he's a 23-year-old now, so just like Robert was saying, you have to have all types of people to fill the roster, so the coach can know I can put this guy in, and I know he's going to do what I need him to do. Versus he's not the type of guy that's going to carry it. I'm more impressed with Steven Castle right now. This guy's running the point for San Antonio. His decision making, the ball hawking. This kid is probably one of the most underrated players in the NBA. You know, he's amazing to watch. You know, San Antonio is really something.
But you look at players like Austin Reeves, right? I saw Austin Reeves years ago. I loved his game, right? He was undrafted.
Right. He was.
Well, you know why? The lack of athleticism and the people, like if you're harping like 90% of coaches do, you can't play D, you can't play for me. And Austin Reeves is not a defensive juggernaut. So you ignore what he actually can do sometimes.
Right.
And that's why he wasn't drafted. They were like, well, he can't cover, he can't guard, this, that, and the other. And when I was playing in college, we had really good schemes for those who couldn't guard on the island, and it made them confident in what they were doing. It made them better defensive players because they weren't thinking. They knew exactly what we're going to do, and we're going to hedge hard, and we're going to rotate. And now it's like, you got to guard. What does that mean, you got to guard? With the trainers out there, the way these players play right now, you can't really guard anybody, like lock people up. I mean, Patrick Beverly was supposed to be a defensive genius. He got torched every night by 30. But, so, like you said, the people are getting to actually look at the game now and see actually, because the Joker's not known as no defender.
Right.
No, he's not. And he's one of the greatest players right now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, it's the people like Ron with that 90s mentality, you got to beat people up and it ain't real defense unless somebody bleeding.
Listen, I'm not saying I'm not saying you gotta beat him up, but hey, listen, you're gonna have to take my spot. I'm there for a year, and I know the system.
No, I agree with that.
You're gonna bring somebody in there. He's gonna have to work. He's gonna have to work for every penny he gets for whatever this team's going to. He's gonna have to work. And if he beats me out, hey, I'm gonna take my hat off and take him out there get a steak dinner. But other than that, he's gonna have to work. He's gonna have to.
He might beat you out, but you're gonna keep coming.
yeah, man. I mean, listen.
You beat me this week.
I ain't sharp as iron, man. Listen, if I don't come at him and he don't come at me, then we're not doing anyone just. You know what I'm saying? Now, at the end of the day, if the coach, likes him better than what I bring, that's cool. Then as a player, I gotta accept that, right? And then, I gotta weigh my options. If I know this guy's gonna be here for a while, then okay, I might have to weigh that option. But I'm gonna make it a living hell for him during practice. Now, during the game, I'm gonna be his biggest supporter. But at practice, dude, I don't like you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we got to, I'm going to make you sweat for every second that you touch that ball.
Mm.
Yeah.
And that's the mentality that you have to have, because if not, you're just gonna get passed by all the time.
Yeah.
Especially if a coach don't believe in you.
But like you said, Ron, I remember when I was in college, every year the coach would poke the bear. The coach would be like, "Just I got this freshman coming in. This guy's good." And I'm like, man, this kid ain't getting my spot. So I went at him early to just, so.
Yeah, you gotta let him know that you're me. He gonna have to take my spot. I mean, and coach gonna have to see that this guy is better than me.
Right.
He's gonna have to see that, especially if they're grabbing somebody from the portal. And because this is the thing that I don't understand. I mean, nobody take pride in it. Like, dude, I grew up as I'm gonna say it. I grew up as a North Carolina fan. You know what I mean? You knew at North Carolina back in my time anyway, for at least 3 years, you could get the root for somebody for at least 3 years. I look at who is it? Georgia lost almost all their players. Who else? Come on, Ron. I know you know all of this.
North Carolina lost.
North Carolina.
Change. I mean, there's a lot of teams, and you can go down the list. It's like,
yeah, we talking about they lost their whole starting 5 to the portal. Like, so we can't even, as a fan, how are we supposed to root for a team if these kids are not staying to get better or give the coach? Now, granted, I understand this is a business now, right? Because if Coach White got an offer to go play, coach at NBA, and he probably be like, hey, Georgia, I'm out. I'm going to go coach the Knicks. You know what I mean? Yeah, the Knicks is I don't know. Anyway, is he going to think twice about that? So I get it. These kids are looking out for their best interest in it. But, financially and even, I can't even say playtime because most of those kids are getting 30-plus minutes. It's definitely the back. I don't care what nobody says. You can argue that. It's the back. And I'm not mad at them for it. But are they actually going to get better for that next level? Now I'm gonna name one kid that I know, right? Well, I'm not gonna know who he is, but I ain't gonna name. 4 different schools in 4 years, and now he's going into the draft. Okay, what did you really learn in those 4 years? Because you was with 4 different programs. You see what I'm saying? So what is the limitation to this portal thing, bro?
And you got some
What
players
is
they
the
could.
limitation? I mean, every 4 years I went to a different school, and now I'm going into the draft. Do you really expect to make it to the league? I mean, after one, okay, cool. I can see after making one, and then you jump off to the to try it out there because you're that guy. But like four, that don't mean you that guy. If you had to go to 4 schools, what are we doing here? What are we doing here?
Well, I think we could
I
also.
remember 2 years. I remember 2 years ago, the Indiana State coach. They had a great season, and then he went to St. Louis and took all his players. He took 8 players
That's
from
happening.
Indiana State to
That's
St.
happening.
Louis.
Coaches leaving and bringing the
He
whole
was
team.
loyal to his players, though. At least they were loyal to each other.
I mean,
Yeah, but that left Indiana with 2 players.
yeah, that's messed up. Yeah, I don't think that.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like I hear also your point of view, Ron, but like it's like the workforce, right? Just a traditional workforce. A person doesn't quit their job, they quit their manager, right? And
Right.
it's the same thing. Like a player doesn't quit their university, they're quitting the coach, right? So
Right.
as you just pointed out, if they have that bond with that coach and like, all right, I could ride with this guy, and he leaves and brings them, that's actually a
That's not
good
bad.
reason, right? That puts you in a very good situation. But it's just, I think we all can agree though that finally players are getting paid their worth, right?
That's
Yes.
a good thing.
And that's only going to create generational wealth, which let's be honest, was being allocated in other resources, right?
Facts.
When this was done on the backs of these people that devoted their lives. Like I had this conversation. I was like, I didn't have a normal college life. I didn't go to frat parties and the
Right.
bars. Bro, I had to wake up at 5:30 in the morning, lift weights. Nimmo, I played football at Syracuse. So I had to wake up at 5:30 in the morning, lift weights, right? And then go to class, come back, watch film, go to practice, right? Do study hall and do that all Monday through Friday.
Right. Right.
And then Saturday and then Sunday was cold tub, hot tub, more study hall. So we didn't have the advantages of being a normal student, right? If
Right.
anything, we were paid minimum wage, not even below minimum wage.
And listen, you were getting in trouble trying to go get some crab legs.
Right.
Oh, that was Jameis Winston. My bad.
Wow.
But like that, how does that make sense? That has never made sense.
Nah, it never
for me,
did.
right? But they'll say, hey, we're paying you, and this is the kicker, and this is the comical part, right? But we're paying you for that college education. Well, 99% of the time you're picking my major,
Right,
because
that's true.
it's conflicting with my schedule of sports.
Sports, yeah.
And 60% of the time that major is
Recreational studies.
there you go. Right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I made sure that, and I don't even know if you know this, Ron, I actually graduated with a biology degree.
Biology.
Biology degree was my major. I was a credit away from mastering in psychology because I wanted to make sure if I was going to leave, because my mother was, a correction officer,
Right.
We didn't grow up with anything. My grandparents came over with a 3rd grade reading level, right? And, my mother was the first Hispanic in a predominantly Black neighborhood.
Right.
Right. So she grew up in the Bronx, and then she moved to the suburbs. And how I ended up in the town that I ended up, I don't know if I should say this, but I'll say that. But, in Hispanic culture, sometimes being married to a Caucasian is success. Right. So my grandmother sent my mom to a predominantly all-white school, right?
Okay.
And she didn't fit in. She had holes in her clothes. But her goal was when I grow up, my kids are going to the school system, right? So I saw the sacrifices that she had to make working doubles, triple shifts to get me to this point to speak like this, right? To be educated, being the first member of my family with a college education. So I owe it to her, just like you and I have had these conversations. It wasn't
Right.
easy for you to raise 4 kids. It wasn't easy for
Nah,
Sharita to raise 4 kids, but you did a hell of a fucking job doing it, right?
appreciate you.
You know, your reason why it's easy for me to represent your sons is because they're men. They're not boys. You
No,
know,
not anymore.
and I knew that right away when the first conversations they started calling me sir. And I said, we got to cut that out because now you're making me feel old, right? But that told me that your sons are coachable, right? They put God first, and that's a testament of how you and your wife raised them. And it's
Right.
them being at this position is no accident.
Facts.
It's no accident. And it's a testament of putting God first and guiding them to the right direction, and the rest they've handled, right? So, you know, players, my advice to players is surround yourself with the right crowd. Keep your circle small, right? And do not chase the short-term money, because if your ultimate goal is the NBA or overseas, let that be your main focus. The money will
Right.
come.
The money, yep, and the girls and
Money
the
will come,
parties.
and
Yeah.
it will create generational wealth. And you and I talk about it. With that money, what are you going to do? Find ways to multiply that money, not spend it, right?
Right.
And that's what changes. That's what changes the cycle of dark clouds that have circled many families that haven't come from privileged lifestyles like ourselves, right? But
Mhm.
I know why your sons are the way they are, because I've seen your parents too, and I
Right.
see how they are with you, right?
Right.
So that's all. This is not by accident, and the reason I got into the agency side of it is because I didn't get into the agency side of it money, and you know that,
Right.
and that's another factor. I could talk about the agency side of, I think it's and they'll probably crucify me, but the amount of commissions that some of these agents charge these players, are you serious?
It's ridiculous. Oh
Are you
yeah.
serious? If you really care about the kids, it should be a game plan. How are we going to get the kid from point A to point B, and how are you going to support the parents so that they don't feel that burden or the anxiety going through that process?
That's right.
And
That's
so
right.
the transfer portal brings all these emotions together, because it's you just pointed, it's a very short window of a lifelong of sacrifices.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Wow. What you got to say about that, Coach?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, one of the kids graduated from Florida. He was a dynamic running back. He's from Virginia Beach. He came by my store. He was dropping money and all this stuff. And I sat him down in the back in the office. I said, let me tell you something, young man. You are 21 years old. He just was about to sign a big one. And I said, you need to make that money last for 60 years. You divide what you got by 60 years, and that's what you can spend every year. And then he realized right away, damn, I ain't got no money. I said, exactly. Exactly. You're 21. You're going to live to 85. So if you want to retire and not work, you have to do something smart with your money instead of spending all of it. Because the money you got, I immediately took 30-some% plus the agent fee. So you really, his signing bonus was $12 million. So I told him, you really got $6 million. He
Yeah.
goes, what? I said, you got $6 million. You already spent $2 million. So you got $4 million. Divide that by 60 years, and that's how much money you really got. And that just blew his mind.
But Coach,
Wow.
you teach a kid about the education and how to make money sleeping. Changes the whole dynamic, right?
That changes everything. Yep.
It changes the whole dynamic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
It
you
does.
talk about compound interest, and you talk about stocks and bonds, and Ron, we've had these conversations, right?
Oh yeah, for
It's
sure.
like, it's important for me to help them set themselves up, because one day the ball will stop bouncing,
One day
It will.
soon.
right? And so, for some it's at college, for some it's in the pros, right? But the fatter that cushion has built throughout the years, let's just do the math, right? The market has been ripping at 15%. You have $1 million in the bank. You put that on the market, right? NASDAQ, right? Well, if you're ripping at 15%, that's 150 grand that it's making for you every year. Boom, boom, boom. You just live off of the 150 grand and let the $1 million just ride for the rest of your life.
For the rest of your life.
Like,
Yeah.
when you got that type of money, you don't have to be super aggressive. Like, you remember Kurt Schilling? He got super aggressive and lost like 50 million.
Yeah.
His whole savings in some type of, I don't know what he invested in, but you could have put that 50 million, like you said, in the NASDAQ or whatever, and he'd been set for life, So
Well, maybe that's why these people are jumping into the portal, because they might know that the pro is not really what they want. So why not get the money now?
Well,
And then after college,
the beauty of it now is you got programs offering $4 million. That's first round money.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So now if I have so much faith in your boys. I see your boys walking that stage. So now if you see yourself being a late first round and you feel like you can make first round money and develop your game even further so that now you become a lottery pick, why not? Sure, anything can happen, right?
Right.
Coach can leave, coach gets fired, circumstances can change, injuries, whatever.
Right.
But if more times than none, if your heart is in it and you're in it for the right reasons, it will work out.
Right. That is true. That is
And
true.
you're talking about $4 million. You put that in the SP 500 and NASDAQ again. We were just talking about $1 million.
Now you're doing $4 million. Yeah.
Now you're talking about 600K. Boom, boom, every year.
Yeah. 600K. Yeah, I can do that.
I know you
I can do that.
I know you can.
I can do that. Shoot. I just give me 1 mil. I can do 1 mil. Shoot. Let me tell you,
It's
man.
exciting times. I love it. Because finally, really, players can create that nest egg that we couldn't create during our time playing, right?
Right.
And I think college sports is so even right now.
It is. It has evened out. I mean, the year before last, it was the SEC, but what was it? The Big Ten and
Well, you had UConn back to back, UConn, right?
Right.
Florida, Michigan. Michigan hasn't won since when?
89.
Correct.
89. So yeah, and it could have went either way. Illinois was there. Illinois had an opportunity. Houston was up there for the last 2-3 years. And I think they'll be back there next year again in talks. So yeah, basketball is definitely it's definitely gonna be there. You know what I mean?
And it's not basketball. Look at football. The landscape, just us being football players. Indiana has never won the championship for football.
Right. Right. Right.
And what did Coach O say? He said, forever in the past, the money came from the back door. Now you can just walk in through the front with the bag.
Right,
so
exactly.
The landscape is just so even now. So how can you not get excited? Some may argue that college athletics is so much more entertaining than professional.
Yeah. It's wild. It's wild. I mean, it really is. My father, he comes down, he said, "Hey, did you see the Knicks last night?" I'm like, "Dad, I'm so caught up on Florida Gators. The Knicks who?" It's the wrong orange and blue, And so, but it's I'm all in college ball right now, man. Not because my kids are there. I just find that NBA is more entertaining now than what it used to be, and I find college ball, these kids are going hard, man. You know what I mean?
All season though, all season, right?
All season.
That's the beauty of it. They have to play hard all season. Right now,
Yes.
And this is me as an NBA agent, right? Right now, the commissioner is trying to find ways to make the games more entertaining or teams from tanking, right?
Right. Exactly.
So
and
that itself, it's its own issue, right? So
yeah.
Here you got kids that are still hungry, but now they're being compensated because
Right.
the reality is they are not normal students. They're not. You cannot put them in the same bucket as regular students because guess what? Students go more times than none to the university for the experience and for the athletics, right?
And the athletics gives the school an identity.
Correct. You got schools in the middle of nowhere. Let's be honest, in the middle of nowhere.
Most of them are in the middle of nowhere.
Correct. I went to Syracuse University. Without Syracuse, there's not much up there, right?
No, there isn't. There really isn't.
There's not much, but the university brings so much money into that city, right? But guess what? Admissions is up when the sports are better. Admissions are down when the sports are not.
I don't know how you got a biology degree playing sports because aren't the labs in the afternoon?
I didn't sleep, Nimmo.
Because like when I was playing, we had afternoon labs, and like you said, that was an issue with coach because you have the afternoon labs. The labs usually can be anywhere from 2 to 6. That's in practice time.
I did a lot of classes in the summertime, so. I did my summer workouts and then I did classes in the summer.
So you did your labs in the summer?
I did most of my labs in the summer and off season.
Okay, yeah, because the labs is part of it.
Correct. You could be in the lab for hours.
I had to take kinesiology, I had to take physiology, I had to take an anatomy. The labs.
So my favorite subject was actually organic chemistry. I got an A in the organic.
Are you
Wow.
serious?
Chemistry?
No,
Wow.
I already knew you was a smart dude, but what?
I got
Really?
actually. Let me correct. I got an A minus in organic chemistry, and I got an A minus because I had a game, before the game, so I didn't get to study in as much as I wanted to, but I finished with an A minus.
Hey, that's all right. That's all right. That's all right.
So
Well,
it's one of
nah,
those.
that's awesome.
But again, it's because it's what I appreciated, right? It's what I liked. Now you told me like novels and literacy and some of those that didn't interest me, right? That didn't interest me. So it's the same thing. It's the way it correlated. Like I got into sports because let's be honest, we'll probably all die loving the games that we love. Sports is what makes our identity, right? It's
Right.
what creates the drive in us. It's what creates the
No
dog.
signal.
So
Press input on your remote control. Then
Oh, what's that?
power off.
Hey, Ron.
Yeah, I'm having technical difficulties. I'm sorry, guys.
my
That's
man
funny.
switched up on us. He switched up on us.
That's funny. Yeah. Well, my
Yeah.
report card. Hey, Ron, I had a Navy report card. You know what that is, right? Sea
What
level.
That's like my diet. Hey, seafood, baby.
What they say, C gets
Well,
degrees, bro.
Yes,
Sea
hey.
level. So you got to realize
Oh,
I'm a
man.
lot older than y'all. When we went to school, coaches tried to put you in the basket weaving. There was nobody monitoring your steps to graduation back in my day. So for me to get sea level, that meant I was a valedictorian.
Oh, man. Oh, man. That's funny. That's funny.
Oh my goodness, man.
All right, so we're gonna get here to our closing question here. This is gonna be for everybody can answer here. So, if you can give us one piece of advice to a high school player, think about their future and this current landscape, portal, NAL, everything included, what would it be?
I would tell them to use the Ron Brown philosophy. Focus on the end game. Focus on the journey. Just work hard and strive on getting better and let the chips fall where they may. Because if you go on the travel thing saying, I got to get a D1, I got to get a D1, I got to get a D1, you're putting added pressure on yourself and you're kind of trying to shorten the process. Just work hard. You got to put work in every day. And because like I said, my son has all the measurables. He's 6'6", 6'7". He shoots the ball. He's 205 pounds. But, it's a lot of stuff going on. So it is what it is. So, and he's 6'7". He's got all the measurables. Measurables you count in football. Don't count in basketball. It used to. But 6'7" in basketball is the new two guard.
Right.
It used to be a small forward.
That's right. That's true.
Now guards are at 6'10". You know what I mean?
Yeah. You remember Denver? They had that 6'10" plus lineup at one time. They paid Bowl. They started all 6'10" guys at one time. They did it for a short time. So it's just incredible where it is right now. And you're a 6-foot guard, you better be Energizer Bunny. You better be, full force, 94 feet, and you got to have some IQ as well. If you're a 6-foot guard trying to get buckets, that's not gonna work out too well.
Yeah, you have a hard time now.
Well, I'm gonna jump before you, Rob, because I know you might be proud of me on this one here, but I'm gonna say what I would say to a young dude is that one, you definitely have to make sure you go where you need it. As a high school player, you got to go where you need it, and even again. And it's very hard to even say that too, because coaches sell dreams sometimes, so you got to be careful with that, right? So if you get there your freshman year and you don't play as much as you were promised, or even what you think you should have, try to still see the bigger picture. Like Coach Nimmo said that I do look at it and give it at least 2 years. You understand? But pay attention, because it does matter who they go into the portal to grab to bring in. And if you keep seeing that they keep bringing someone over you understand? Then that's when you really have to sit down. Hopefully you have, someone that's advising you at this point. But that's when you have to really sit down and reevaluate your situation. And I say that because your sophomore year, I have this thing where a freshman should not always expect to come in and get the big minutes. You shouldn't. You know what I mean? Even if you are that guy, you should always come in, because you still have to learn the game. I don't care how good you are, because even Arkansas, as we've seen how good those players were, there were some things that, except for Acuff. Acuff was just different. I don't know. That was an old soul out there. But there were some things those other players showed that they lacked in. And that's why they went deep, but not as deep as they should have with that caliber of talent they had on that team, right? So you look at the portal for yourself your junior and senior year because then you still have time. Because I don't care what program you go to, you still have to have that 1 year under your belt to learn what that coach really wants from you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, you really have to weigh all those options and you really have to, I always tell my kids, think about whatever decision you make today, how is it going to affect you, not tomorrow, not the day after, but maybe a week or even a year from now. That decision you made that day, how is it going to affect you then? Because if I make that decision now to do something, it can change the whole dynamics of your life,
That's
positive or negative. So you have to make sure when you're looking at this portal and coming from high school to go to a school, hey, listen, if you want to play, then you might have to go to JUCO D3, D2 route. You know what I mean? Get your feet wet, put up the numbers. You understand? And I'll put AJ stuff out there. What people don't know about AJ coming over from Ohio to Florida, he was in the 56, 60 percentile from the field goal and high 40s and close to 50 from the 3 point in efficiency. People don't know that. You see what I'm saying? So his resume is what helped him out and what
Mm.
he put in at Ohio, you see? And that's why we've kind of felt a little confident in making that move because of that. But he put his work in. So I'm not just saying it to say it, I'm saying it because of experience.
Mm.
You see? But if you're going to make a move, you have to weigh all your options and how it's going to affect you later. That's what I would say.
For me, I would just simply say that, especially in the day of social media, I would tell these kids it's you versus you, right? There's no need to compare where other kids. You're on your own journey, right? And where I say by it's you versus you is you have to outwork everybody if you're serious about your craft, right? And Ron has heard me use this phrase: don't let another person take food off of your own table,
Facts.
right? And so it'll always be you versus you. You gotta really got to trust your game, but you also have to trust yourself, right? And trust your gut, because part of that will tell you where you need to end up, right? And there's no shame of being honest with yourself, right? All of us wanted to play at the highest caliber Division 1, right? But maybe our journey wasn't there yet, or our game wasn't there yet. So be honest with yourself. So that's why I say it's always going to be you versus you. And they will find you. They will find you wherever you are if you have the it quality.
Right. That it quality.
Yeah.
So what do you think, Ronald? What's your suggestion? What do you would say?
I mean, I would say, for most high school players now, to just weigh your options, and that's what I'd say. Pretty much, I don't got too much right here. Just to weigh your options.
Ronald, you could be a politician. No, it's true though. You have to weigh your options, and take your time. There's no rush.
No, it really isn't.
No.
It really isn't. It really isn't. So, this is yeah, yeah, I think that's what I would end on too, is just weigh your options. At the end of the day, you gotta weigh your options and take your time. So, oh yeah.
All right. So I definitely thought this was a great podcast today. Definitely enjoy everybody being on here. Thank you, Rob, and also Coach Nimmo. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
I
Thank you guys.
appreciate
Thank
the
you.
invite. I
Yes,
appreciate the
definitely.
invite, and I look
Yes, sir.
forward to being on the next one at some point.
Oh,
Yes, sir. I don't know. We might have to make you guys a regular,
oh wow.
Well, I can tell you this. I've been invited on Ron's podcast a couple of times. I love it. I've never been invited to his house, but we Ron treats me like a Jehovah's Witness.
Oh wow.
He's never
Oh,
home.
wow.
I walked up to there one day, the lights cut off while I was walking up there.
No,
He sends me pictures of pork chops.
the thing about Ron is he's as real as they come.
Yeah,
Hey man.
and
I
and
try to
that's
be
hard to
genuine.
find. That's hard to find in today's day and age. So I don't know if it's a New Yorker thing, but it's as you come as real as they come. So I appreciate you guys accepting me into your family and me being a part of your kids' journey. It's been a cool ride, and I'm excited about your kids' future.
Appreciate you, Rob. Appreciate you, Nemo. Both of you guys. You know, I always talk about my circle. I don't have a huge circle, and you guys are part of it, so it actually means something. So I appreciate you guys for sure. I learned a lot. Rob, believe it or not, with a lot of our conversations, you helping me out as well with this whole journey a lot. And Nemo, over the many years, man, you and I
Many
on that
years.
sideline coaching, you taught me a lot as well as being a better coach as well. You know what I mean? And I'm just glad you guys were able to come on the pod. I want you guys to like and subscribe.
Definitely like and subscribe, please, everybody.
Right, yeah. So, but yeah, Ronald, take us home, brother.
Right, definitely, everybody. Everybody know just to stay off the bench and have a great rest of your day.
All right, guys. God bless everyone. I appreciate you. Blessings, blessings.
Night hums low, the world unwinds. Congo whispers steady time. A pan flute sighs, a soft refrain. Dancing shadows call my name. Whispered echoes, soft and slow. Where do you lead? Where do we go? Through the rhythm, through the glow. Whispered echo, let it flow. Fingers trace the fading light. Moon spilled silver on the night. The air is thick, it breathes, it sways. Caught in this lo-fi dream we stay. The drums they speak, they tell no lies. The flute it weeps, the night complies. Whispered echoes, soft and slow.